bloke's just tacked on the starboard. You want to do it?
Yeah.
I didn't want to head out to the corner of the course. They roll the boat into another tack, again doing what they said pre-race. Staying in the middle of the track.
So Stuart's starting to get out towards the left-hand side of the course now. He's on a starboard lift, so he's got no alternative but to keep going. But really right now he needs to be looking at the tiniest little header. He needs to take it because the bulk of the fleet are to his right, and he's just starting to get into a slightly vulnerable position. I mean, what he really needs to be is watching that compass really carefully, and even if it's only a 3 or 4 degree shift, he just needs to try and take a little hitch out to the right and just keep the rest of the fleet covered.
Not a big shift here, but Stuart Reid obviously wants to put himself back in a more central position than tacks.
He's got that little header he wanted and he's gone for a tack. It wasn't a great tack, but positionally I think that's pretty good.
Stuart needs to sharpen these light weather tacks up a little bit. He's pushing the boat through too fast and he's oversteering. They need to use their body to turn the boat, and then once it falls onto the new tack, all roll it upright, getting the flow going over the foil and sails as soon as possible. It would have been very tempting to go for a lee bow tack there and get forced out to the edge of the course, but he's bitten the bullet and he's taken a little bit of a duck, which is exactly right.
So this is a nice beat by our guys. They did overstand the mark a little bit, which cost them, but they're still coming up to the mark in 3rd place, which is a really good result. Just tacking around the mark inside the rest of the fleet here now.
This is the team that had the whole fleet ahead of them at the end of the first race of the day, rounding the windward mark in 3rd. Smooth tack there, but they've got a pretty intense downwind leg coming up. Always the pressure of more breeze coming in from behind.
Really light now on this run. This is really hard work. It's all about communicating. The trimmer is feeling the amount of load on the sheet, and every time he feels a little bit of extra load, he can call the helmsman down. Every sort of half a boat length you can gain to leeward is the key to getting to the next mark quicker. Just luffing up and going fast just means you end up sailing more distance, and overall you don't get anywhere. So this is really hard, really tricky condition. Stuart's just jibed, which I think is a really good move. There's quite a lot of traffic over on his left, and as he said to us, his strategy is to try and come up this beat in clear wind. I suspect what he's going to do is make for the starboard mark. It may not be the barred one, but I think he's dead right. He's in a good position. Why blow it by going around in the middle of a lot of boats?
Well, Reid's going to round this mark in 5th place. He could have been at the back of a traffic jam of 2 in dirty air. He's gone for the clear air option.
So as far as strategy on the next beat's concerned, if I was in Stuart's position, I'd really be looking at my positioning against the fleet. I really don't want to get out too far, one side or the other. It looks like he's on the lifted tack at the moment, that starboard is the favoured tack. But as soon as he gets the slightest sort of a header, he should go, because the majority of the fleet is to his right already and spreading fast. The wind's very patchy now. When the water's flat, sheeting the jib on hard is okay, but the crew really need to be careful here. Every time the wind drops a couple of knots, they do need to ease it out a couple of clicks.
That jib is very hard. You happy? Yeah. Okay.
We're about a third of the way up the 2nd beat, and I just feel like Stuart's listening to me somehow, because he has now tacked across. He's covering the fleet. He's just in exactly the right position. Look at this. He's right in the middle of the fleet. So really the only people who can pass him are the ones that are really go extreme one way or the other. I'm really impressed with the mature way that he's sailing this race so far.
Well, Reid must be approaching the ley line to the windward mark, which he is. He now tacks.
Stuart's just tacked on the starboard ley line. Now my only comment there would be that's quite early to hit the ley line. You know, he's going to have to sail quite a long way in dirty wind to get here, and the only other alternative would have been to overstand. I'd have preferred to see him leaving his approach until much later. For example, there's a boat just coming up here right on the port ley line, and of course if Stuart had done that, he'd have had clear wind all the way to the windward mark. Okay, this is our team just approaching the mark in a strong third place. They sailed that beat really well. You heard how stressed they were halfway up with the shifts, but they stuck to it. They kept their heads and they sailed it really well.
Well, it was a big call at the bottom mark to go for clear air, but it's third place and a downwind slide to the finish now for Stuart Reid.
That rig is completely stalled at the moment, and it's an indication of just how much tension there is in the boat. The outhaul's too easy, the sheet's too far on. What they really do need to do is just wind the boat up a little bit, ease the sheet, get the boat going. Once the flow's going over the sails, they can start to put the bow down again, but at the moment they're just going high and slow.
Well, these must be anxious moments. It's light, but there are some patches of breeze. There's always a prospect of being rolled in these sort of conditions. Well, I wonder if Stuart Reid is now starting to really enjoy it. I bet the tension has been pretty high on board that boat, but right now they're crossing the line in third. What a day they've had.
Really difficult conditions, but I mean, that was good for me because you stuck to your plan, you got onto the favoured tack, you made sure you could stay on the favoured tack. Now you're looking over your shoulder, looking for an opportunity to tack onto port and get back on top of the fleet, which is great.
He was trying to stop the wind.
Yeah.
Spotting the wind, I think, was most of that race.
Exactly, but I mean, I think you spent 90% of the race in phase with the shifts, which is exactly what the strategy was, so really well done. Great. Any other thoughts about the race?
I think there's probably more tide than people were in the last race.
The tide was coming up all the time. In fact, in this next race, with less wind and more tide, that's going to be even more important for you. What do you think went well?
I think for us, it was just trying to get clear air, trying to get clear air. Once you've got that in your mind, just keep on going with that.
Just a couple of tiny things. We think when the wind dropped a little bit, the sheet is a bit hard on the jib, but very hard down the lead.
Okay.
That's going to make it really tough for the skipper to keep the speed on. So I think the two of you need to talk about that as the boat slows down.
Is that the sheet or that sail too far up the force?
I think it's the sheet. I think you need the sail up the forestay, especially when you're sailing with a sheet ease.
Yeah.
But it's basically, as you feel the boat slowing down, just pull tiny bit of ease, let the jib off just about that much. Same with the main, a little bit of twist, boat accelerates, and then you can turn that speed back into height again. So just watch out for that.
Okay.
Understandably pleased there, and a lesson in how to take on a few simple pointers, sail to a plan, and stay conservative. That amazing third place not only gave Stuart Reid, John Maudsley and Roger Serrato a boost, but it showed them what it feels like to do well, and gave them tips and lessons that they can take forward into future races.